Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Okay, tonight I've got a story that's been keeping me up at night. Okay, one that'll make your skin crawl and have you second guessing that next camping trip. This is the story of the Hollow Lake Disappearance, a terrifying mystery that went down in the summer of 2020 in a remote part of Oregon. It's the kind of tale that starts off normal but spirals into something you can't explain. Something that makes you wonder what's really out there. So, settle in, turn down the lights, and let's dive into this nightmare. It's a long one, so stick with me. The story centers on Hollow Lake, a small, isolated lake tucked away in the Cascade Mountains. It's not on most maps. In the nearest town, a little place called Elkwood, is a good hour's drive down a dirt road. The lake's surrounded by thick forests, so dense you can barely see the sky. And locals say it's always been a strange place. They talk about how the water's too still, like it's holding its breath, and how animals avoid it. In July 2020, for friends Leela, Connor, Becca, and Rianne decided to spend a week camping by Hollow Lake. They were in their mid-20s, a mix of outdoorsy types and city folks looking for an adventure. Leela, the group's planner, found the spot online. Some off-grid camping forum raving about the lake's untouched beauty. They packed up Connor's old SUV with tents, coolers, and a couple of kayaks, ready for a week of unplugging. From there, group chat, which was later recovered. They were pumped, joking about fishing and ghost stories by the fire. They arrived on a sunny Friday afternoon, and at first, everything was perfect. Becca posted to TikTok of the group setting up camp, laughing as Ryan fumbled with the tent poles. The lake was as gorgeous as the forum promised, crystal clear, surrounded by towering firs, with a faint mist hanging over the water. But that first night, things started feeling off. Connor, who was big into photography, noticed his camera kept glitching when he tried to shoot the lake. The photos came out blurry, with weird streaks of light, even though it was pitch dark. He chalked it up to a bad battery, but Lila wasn't so sure. She wrote in her notebook, which was found later, that the forest felt too quiet. No crickets, no owls, just this heavy silence that made her ears ring. They brushed it off, roasted hot dogs, and went to bed. But Ryan later told a friend he kept waking up, feeling like someone was standing just outside his tent. By Saturday morning, the group noticed something odd. Their campsite was littered with small, smooth pebbles arranged in perfect circles around their tents. They hadn't been there the night before, and none of them owned up to it. Ryan, the group's skeptic, laughed it off as a prank, maybe some local kids messing with them. But Becca wasn't convinced she'd grown up in a rural area and knew nobody would hike hours into the middle of nowhere just to stack rocks. They decided to ignore it and went kayaking, but the lake felt wrong. Lila said the water was too cold, even for a mountain lake, and when she dipped her hand in, it felt like something brushed her fingers. Not a fish, she insisted, but something deliberate. That afternoon, they found more pebble circles, this time closer to the water's edge. And Connor swore he saw a shadow move under the lake's surface, too big to be a fish. That night, things got worse. Around midnight, they woke to a low hum, like a distant engine, but it was coming from the lake itself. They grabbed flashlights and stepped outside, but the hum stopped the second they left their tents. Instead, they heard faint splashing, like someone wading in the water. Connor shouted, thinking it was a person, but there was no answer, just more splashing, then silence. They scanned the lake with their lights, but all they saw was that eerie, unbroken surface, tamed back in their tents. Lila couldn't sleep. She wrote that she kept hearing her name whispered, not from outside, but like it was inside her head, soft and insistent. By morning, the group was spooked, but determined to stick it out. They were rational people, they told themselves. It was just the wilderness playing tricks. Sunday was when things spiraled. They found their kayaks, dragged halfway into the water, the paddles missing. Ryan, who was getting angry now, insisted it was vandals and wanted to hike out to find help, but the others refused. They were too far from civilization, and a storm was brewing. That's when Becca noticed the trees. She swore the forest looked different, like the path they'd driven in on was gone, swallowed by undergrowth. Connor checked his GPS, but it was useless, spinning in circles like it couldn't find a signal. Panic was setting in, and the group started arguing. Lila suggested packing up and hiking out anyway, but then they found something that stopped them: cold footprints in the mud near the lake. They were human, barefoot and impossibly large, with an extra toe on each foot. The prints led into the water and didn't come back out. That night, the hum returned, louder, vibrating through the ground. The group huddled in one tent, too scared to sleep. Becca started crying, saying she felt like something was watching her, not from the forest, but from the lake. Ryan, who'd been trying to stay tough, admitted he'd seen something in the water earlier, pale shape that looked like a face, just under the surface, staring up at him. Around 3 a.m., the tent started shaking, like something was tugging at the stakes. They screamed, shining flashlights everywhere, but there was nothing, just those damn pebble circles, now inside the tent with them. Leela wrote in her notebook that it felt like the lake was calling them, like it wanted them to walk into it. She said her dreams were filled with images of sinking into the water, of hands pulling her down. By Monday, Connor was gone. They'd taken turns keeping watch, but he'd been there 1 minute, sitting by the fire, and the next, he was just gone. His boots were still by the tent, his jacket still hanging on a tree. They searched the shore, screaming his name, but the lake was silent, its surface like glass. Becca was hysterical, saying she saw him in the water, standing waist deep, staring at them with blank eyes. Ryan and Leela dragged her back to the tent. Okay, but then they noticed something worse. The pebble circles were everywhere now, covering the campsite, some with strange symbols scratched into the dirt. They decided to run, storm or no storm, and started packing. That's when they heard Connor's voice, clear as day, calling from the lake, "Come in, swarm." But when they looked, there was no one there. Tuesday morning, a park ranger doing a routine patrol found their campsite abandoned. The tents were torn open, gear scattered, and Leela's notebook was lying in the mud, pages filled with frantic scribbles about the lake, warning them. Ryan, Becca, and Lila were gone. No footprints leading away, no sign of a struggle. The ranger said the air felt heavy, like a storm that never broke. Divers searched Hollow Lake for days, but found nothing, no bodies, no kayaks, no paddles. The only thing they recovered was Connor's camera, half buried in the shore. The memory card was intact, but the photos were corrupted, except for one, a blurry shot of the lake at night, with what looked like dozens of pale faces just under the water, staring up. The Hollow Lake Disappearance is still unsolved. 8. Locals avoid the lake now, and the few who've camped there since report the same things. Pebble circles, whispers, that unnatural hum. Some say it's a geological quirk, maybe underground caves causing the sounds. Others think it's something older, something tied to the land itself. I don't know what to believe, but I do know this: if you're ever in the Cascades and come across a lake that's too still, too quiet, maybe just keep driving. Thanks for sticking with me through this one, guys. Let me know in the comments if you've heard of Hollow Lake, or if you've got your own creepy stories. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.